Hey folks, welcome back. So throughout this section of the course, we've talked about CloudFormation stacks, we've talked about updating stacks and update policies, but there are just a few more details with updating stacks that we need to know as DevOps engineers and certainly in preparation for taking the DevOps Pro exam. In the DevOps doctrine, let's click on Stack Updates. Now, first of all, most importantly, and this point has been emphasized already, it's best practice to update your stacks within CloudFormation. Don't update your resources external to CloudFormation. That's going to cause drift and that's going to cause some problems down the road. But to be clear, there are two ways in CloudFormation to update your stacks, and that is the direct update, and we've done that already, and there are change sets. Change sets provide a bit more protection against making changes to your stack that you might regret later. Change sets are going to allow you to preview the changes that you've made, to preview the changes that you're going to make to your stack before actually performing the update. And basically, you have the opportunity to back out if you're not comfortable with any side effects that the changes may cause. So looking at our diagram, we go ahead and create a change set. But then we're going to have an opportunity to review that change set, review any potential side effects, and then make a decision. Go back to the drawing board, or no, this looks good, this is what we want to do, let's execute the change set. So it's just important to understand the two different ways you can update your stacks. And then the other important thing, certainly for DevOps engineers to understand, is when updating a stack, CloudFormation might interrupt resources or replace updated resources, depending on which properties of that resource that you update. And there are three potential update behaviors. There's update with no interruption, update with some interruption, and then a replacement. An example of an update with no interruption would be if you're updating something within CloudTrail that can be updated without any interruption in service. Now, an example of an update with some interruption is an EC2 instance. And it really depends on the properties of the instance that you are updating. Now, an example of a replacement would be for RDS. So if you update the engine property of your RDS database, that's going to be a complete replacement. And what happens is that CloudFormation creates a new resource and replaces the current DB instance resource with the new one. So as DevOps engineers, we just have to understand what type of interruptions we're going to encounter when performing updates. And really, you do this on a case-by-case basis. You just have to do your due diligence in understanding your resources and what properties of that resource you're updating. I opened a tab from AWS Resource and Property Types Reference. For all of these resources, now I'll just go to NAT Gateway, and if we check out the properties, so for NAT Gateway, if you update the allocation ID, that type of update is a replacement. Subnet ID, replacement. If you change the tags, and this makes sense, there's no interruption. So let's go into another one. Let's go into our instance. So for each property, this is where you can find the update behavior. Change your availability zone. That requires a replacement. Change the IAM instance profile. No interruption. So really, you just have to do your homework when performing these updates to understand the update behaviors of your resources and their properties. All right, to conclude this lesson, let's just go ahead and update with a change set. And I'm going to use one of the stacks that I've kept around from the lesson on cross-stack references. Okay, so I have changed the split screen. For this stack, our cross-stack demo, let's go ahead and look at the original template. And it's a pretty standard VPC type template. And this is what I want to focus on is the security group. And notice our ingress for the security group. Right now, port 80 is the only port open. So let's say we want to change this. Let's say we want to open port 443 as well. So what we would do is create an updated version of this template. And this is what I'm showing right here. Notice how the ingress has changed. So I'm adding port 443 in addition to port 80, which is already there. So when we perform our update, in this case, when we create our change set, we need to reference this updated template. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to click Actions, Create Change Set for Current Stack. And in this case, what we want to do is upload a template to S3, and we're choosing this template. All right, so CloudFormation is going to evaluate this new template and evaluate the changes that are being made. Enter a name and description. Let's click Next. Next through Options, Create Change Set. And that's an important point. This does not perform the update. It's creating the change set to be evaluated. All right, and it's not telling us anything that we don't know. Note here, replacement false. So we're modifying our security group, and it's not going to need to replace the security group in this case. Let's click on Details, and it just notes the resource that's being changed, which correlates here. Again, it's not going to have to do a replacement, so it's a pretty standard change. But the change set evaluates the change for you and lets you review before you actually execute the update. And again, it's just a matter of doing your homework and understanding the properties of your resource and how an update will affect your stack. So let's just go back and execute our change. Now this is when the update actually takes place. It even prompts you again, just to make sure before you jump off. So let's click Execute and note Update in Progress. Let's just go over to Events. And of course, our security group is being updated. All right, and that just took a minute or so. Our update is complete. So again, your two ways to update your stack is a direct update with an updated template and a change set. A change set is just going to provide you that security. Your changes are going to be evaluated, and you're going to have an opportunity to review. And we have to understand our resources and our properties of those resources and their update behaviors. So with that, we have completed this lesson. Thank you for joining me. Let's move on to the next.